Well, hello. My name is Reverend Dorothy Wellington. I'm the executive pastor of the Once a Month Church that's located here in Phoenix, Arizona. And I reach out to poor and homeless people. And my meeting is without a top on the roof. It's actually out in the park, in the open. And I want to talk to you today about judgment. That's not a good sounding word, but I want to talk to you about Whitney Houston, and I want to give you some examples of some judgments that happened to the Arizona Cardinals, Charles Barkley, and the Phoenix Suns. Well, Whitney is a beautiful, loved person from all around the world, especially with my family. And in fact, she does my opening song for my radio program, Community and God in Action. Well, when she died, there were so many ugly comments going on about her. On Yahoo, I wrote this statement, and just to caution people, be careful on what you say. Whitney Houston, this is where it goes. If you have not suffered through an addiction, sickness, or disease, you may not be able to understand those who do. Whitney Houston was chosen by God for her time on earth. I suggest to you all to be very careful in your critical judgments in her life. You may need a good Samaritan to rescue you one day. Well, many are called, few are chosen. Whitney Houston was one that's been chosen by God. And Psalms 105 verse 15 says, "Touch not mine anointed and do my prophets no harm." And that's God's heart. And so God says when you do touch his anointed, there can be some negative consequences. I don't like to always use that word judgment, but that's what it really is. Judgments will follow you. So these examples I'm going to show you that they turned out to be truth when they were spoken from a prophet or from the heart of God. Well, it started in the early 90s with Charles Barkley. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not a sports fan. I don't follow football, don't follow basketball. But Charles Barkley was here, and I listened to him on the TV one day, and he said he was brought here into Phoenix by destiny. Now, destiny is a spiritual word. When Charles Barkley used that word destiny and being here in Phoenix, and so God said, I want you to start praying for him. I want you to keep him in prayer. Pray for him. I prayed for Mr. Barkley for 2 years. I wrote letters for 2 years. Mr. Barkley never did respond. So then God told me in my heart, he said, tell him he will not win the championship because he has disrespected you, who you represent, the poor. And so, of course, Charles Barkley did not win a championship, and he never did respond to any of my correspondence for 2 years. So in 2009, I'm working with the homeless, and so they needed bikes. Bikes are Cadillacs for them. God told me to start with the Phoenix Suns. So I start calling the community person for the Phoenix Suns, and she said, oh, that's interesting. I'll get back with you. She came back with me a week or two later. No, lady, we can't give you a bike. So I said, thank you. So wait another couple of weeks. God said, go back again. I said, would you have for a staff member, would they have a new bike or a used bike? Any kind of bike. Nope, lady. Finally, she said, in a way, she said, don't call us no more. We don't have a staff person to give you a bike. We don't have a team player to give you a bike. We have no bike to give you and your homeless people. So God said they will not win a championship. And so they will not win a championship in 2009 or 10. So I said, okay, God, I did everything I knew to do. So then he said, go to the Arizona Cardinals. So I did the same letters in 2009, asking for one bike to the Arizona Cardinals. And the Arizona Cardinals, what do you think they told me? No answer. No response, phone calls, nothing, just nothing. And so God said they will not have a championship in 2009. So here comes 2010, 2010 rolls around. So then I add, okay, I think I'll add some individual players. So Larry Fitzgerald, Kurt Warner, I wrote them. Larry Fitzgerald never called back, never responded, no correspondence. Kurt Warner, he did have his foundation to write me and said, we cannot give you one bike, lady. So God said, not only will they lose the championship in 2010, but in 2011, 3 years, a judgment will be upon them. They will not win a championship. And so I have letters, I have my hard copies, everything, people, to back me up. But this is what God said. He said they're not going to win a championship in that third year. God didn't call me before 2009, so I don't know what the record was, because remember, I'm not a sports fan. I just see what God tells me in my heart and in my spirit. So that was a judgment that they have been under. No championship for 3 years. So I give you those examples to let you know that when God sends a word, it's best to listen and see what God would have you to do. And that's what I come back to Whitney Houston. You have to be careful in your comments and your judgments that are stated about her, or you get involved in conversations that are against her life. Yes, she made mistakes, but she still was called and anointed by God. So I challenge you with this. You know, my grandparents and my parents, they said, if you ain't got anything good to say about somebody, don't say it at all. So you don't want judgments, because God sent me to the Arizona Cardinals. He sent me to the Phoenix Suns. Did they not give to anyone else? No, they gave generously to other organizations and other nonprofits. That wasn't the issue. God said there was an open window, and they missed it from giving one bite to the homeless population in the town in which they live. So I love you. You know, be blessed by God. But remember, Whitney lived in a life here and died. She was called and anointed by God. And now she has her wings. God bless.